My name is Abhikshit Singh. I'm a lawyer and I also run a law firm. I'm here to talk about a few phases of my life to underscore that perhaps the only risk not worth taking is the risk of doing nothing. All other risks are worth taking, provided one is ready to come out of their comfort zone. Sometimes we set life goals that seems to be higher than what we can achieve. Sometimes we get opportunities that seeks to draw us out of our comfort zone but promises bigger rewards. Whenever that happens, don't stop yourself, set that goal, take that chance. We like hearing to rags to riches stories because somewhere we like this sole hero battling overwhelming odds. Well, truth be told, life is not such. Perhaps not in equal measures, but life gives opportunities to all of us. What we do with those opportunities is something that matters at the end. For me, I was born in Ranchi, in the then undivided state of Bihar. I was born in a fairly comfortable family. My father was an industrialist. My grandfather was a technocrat, a landlord. While I was fortunate to be born in a good, comfortable family, I was not so fortunate in terms of the scheme of education, the education system that the then state of Bihar was presenting me with. So things significantly improved by the time we finished school. But back then, as a 9-year-old, we used to hear stories about people finishing their graduation in 7 years as opposed to 3 because sessions were running late. By the time I was about 10, I was not ready to take my chances with this system. By then, I had read enough Enid Blytons to know what a boarding school was. So I set about finding names of these schools. I went and found some names. We didn't have Google to assist us. But I found out some names. There were 2 names, 2 top schools of Delhi. But I couldn't get their addresses. But without the addresses, just with the names, I nicked 2 prepaid envelopes from my grandmother and wrote to these 2 principals, or wrote to these 2 schools. The letter roughly went like this. Dear sir, I hope you are in the pink of your health. I am Abhikshit Singh. I want to study in your school. Tell me what's to be done next. Well, I had never got a reply from the first school. But the principal of the second school, he sent me a reply. The then principal of Delhi Public School, R.K. Puram, sent me a reply. He asked me to come to Delhi after 6 months or so to give a competitive exam. He said he's already paid for he's registered me for that exam, he's paid for it. He asked me to return that 50 rupees when I come for that exam. He also wished me good luck. Now, as I said, I was an average student. But I set my heart into studying hard for this exam. I wanted to ace this exam. When the time came, we went to Delhi. I went there with my mom. What I saw in Delhi completely astonished me. It completely astonished me. I never thought it will be like this. There and then, the child in me wanted to see the future me succeed here. I went, I wrote that exam. In a few days, the results came out. By the time my father had come, he had joined us, so we went together to look at the results, to find that I had failed. I had failed in that exam. I was asked to come back the next year and try again next year. Now, failure was something that I was prepared for. I was prepared for the failure, but I was not prepared to go back. Going back was not an option. So like an obstinate child, I refused to come out of the car when we were supposed to go back to the railway station. I refused to come out. I cried my head out. I was barely 11. Till the time my parents took me back to the school. I just wanted to go there once. So they, for an obstinate child, they took me back to the school. I went there looking for the principal. I found him in his office. I went there, I spoke to him. I reminded him about our exchange of letters. I reminded him that he had paid for my registration. I beseeched him. I beseeched him to take me to his school. And he finally relented. He relented, but the deal was, I was not getting a hostel. They said, you can get the school, but there was no hostel seats available. So I could stay with some friends or family. I completely agreed. I immediately agreed. I rushed out. I went to my parents. I told them, look, I got this. But as it turned out, I neither had any friend nor any family with whom I could stay. Luckily, a few days earlier, I had seen some advertisement marketing rooms for rent. So I set about convincing my parents that once a child has crossed 10, he is big enough. He is big enough to be left independently in a strange city. No problem. You guys go back. I explained to them that I can look after myself, stay alone, eat alone, wash my clothes, provided you let me stay here so that I can attend my school. They agreed. I took some time convincing my mom, but they agreed. They rented that room and went back. So there I was, barely 11, living on my own, eating in shacks, washing my own clothes, doing my life chores, while going to school in my half pants. I was having fun. There was no complaint. In fact, my eyes were so set on succeeding, my eyes were so set on the bigger prize, that any other problems looked mundane, any other problem looked trivial. So I remember once, my school asked me to bring my local guardian. I was supposed to bring my local guardian. Now every child was supposed to have a parent or a guardian to whom the school authorities could discuss the progress of the child. But as it turned out, I had none. So I did what I thought was the most logical thing to do. I went to the market and bought myself a local guardian. I went to the market, I went to the photo studio where my photographs were taken when I had to go for my admission. I convinced the owner and photographer of the shop, the studio, to be my local guardian. I told him, I promised him mangoes from home. I said, you come with me to the school. He agreed. I took him to the school, paraded him before the school authorities, and there it was done. I had my local guardian problem solved. So no problem was really, everything was trivial. I was not complaining. There was no struggle as a 10-year. I never complained that I was, but yes, perhaps as a child, it was difficult to figure out things. I mean, like when the school shut for the first time, I knew which train would take me home to Patna, but I had yet to figure out where the railway station was. I was yet to figure out which bus to take to that railway station. I was yet to figure out how to buy that half ticket. I was yet to figure out how to travel in a reserved compartment via unreserved ticket. I was yet to figure out how to avoid the ticket collector all the time. But yes, I figured all of that out, went home nicely, no problem. Came back, in a year or so, I got my hostel. In fact, the principal had been very kind. He had also permitted me to start eating in the hostel much before I got the hostel seat, because I think he was also worried that perhaps I'll come under some bus or something while crossing the road. He was worried for me as a child. Anyways, I finished my school, I surprised myself, I did fairly well. I made some lifelong friends. and I learned some lessons. An important lesson that I learned was to believe in myself and to trust my instincts. Another lesson that I learned was that one has to necessarily venture out, take his risks to earn his rewards. There were no problems, no struggle in living alone or eating in shacks or traveling by trains or getting a local guardian from the market. Because I thought all of this was perfectly normal, perfectly sane thing to do to convert that opportunity that I had created by writing to that principal. The only thing I had to leave was to leave my comfort, and I happily did that. Life went on, went to college, did my graduation. I did my graduation from Hansraj, History Honours, did my law from Delhi University again. We were younger, carefree. We were doing what everybody else was doing, which was essentially nothing. By the time I was about to finish my law, my elder brother, who'd always been very caring and very protective about me, he somehow arranged for an interview with this big law firm. Now, this big law firm, I had an opportunity to interview there. The problem was, I had never had a job, I had never even done an internship, I didn't have a resume, and I didn't know how to make one. But anyhow, we figured out, we made a resume. It was a one-page resume, which besides my personal details also claimed that I was the founding president of some non-existing law society. So I went to the interview armed with that resume. The managing partner of the firm who interviewed me was way too smart. He knew immediately that beyond my tall words, I was bringing nothing to the table. So he asked me to go back. He asked me to go back, learn law in district courts, learn the ropes, come back after 6 months, and then we'll talk. Now I knew it was a polite no. But having that foot in the door, I was not prepared to cede ground so easily. I kept convincing him, gave all those gyan about, you see, I'll be an asset to the firm, I will be this, I'll be that. Finally agreed, but the caveat was, the chance was available only for 1 month. 1 month trial job. The salary was to be 6,000. As it turned out, there were certain other deductions, but yeah, 6,000. I sat down, I set about working, I worked hard. 1 month came and went. Nobody came to tell me that my time was up, so I continued working. Working there was hard work. On a good day, you could work for 18 hours. On a bad day, you could work for 2 days at a trot. But I worked hard. Initially, the money was not that great. I could not afford to order food with my colleagues because I just couldn't simply afford it. I couldn't order food from Pizza Huts and McDonald's. My salary wasn't that much. So I used to sneak out every afternoon, go to this M Block market. There was this hawker who used to sell chole kulche for 5 rupees. I used to have 2 plates, 10 rupees. I used to walk back home, 2 or 3 o'clock in the night. Used to walk back home from GK1 to KT Extension around 6 kilometers. But no one was complaining. We were all having fun along the way. I very soon rose through the ranks, very quickly. The place was such that looked at productivity, not seniority. So you grew, the mantra, the success mantra there was you had to be productive, not necessarily senior. So I broke through the ranks, I rose very quickly. My managing partner was one who used to believe in giving opportunities provided one was delivering, and I was delivering big time. I was hitting everything off the park. Slowly my hard work started translating into big money. I was earning a lot of money. So from having that chole kulche for 10 bucks, I was suddenly earning a lot of money. By the time I turned 30, I had houses, I had multiple cars, drivers, designer clothes, watches, you name it, I had it. I was traveling business class, I was staying in club rooms in 5-star hotels. I was on a roll. Perhaps on the way I also became arrogant, but I was on a roll. Nothing could stop me. Even sky was not the limit. Then one day, my managing partner made me sit down and realize, and I'll always be grateful for that. He made me realize that I was not what I thought I was. I could do what I could do because I was having the platform of that firm. He made me realize I was just a mere cog in the wheel. That got me thinking. And the more I thought, the more I knew he was right. I also thought I had come to this city to succeed, and somewhere along the way, the meaning of success for me had become the amount of money I was earning. I also wanted to test myself to see if I can individually succeed as a lawyer. So I decided to quit. I decided to set up my own practice. If I succeed, there could be greater rewards. If I fail, I at least tried. But leaving the firm was not so easy. Leaving that meant leaving that jet-set lifestyle, leaving that meant leaving those luxury hotels, leaving that meant, most importantly, coming back to zero in terms of income. Income would be zero. So I went to talk to my wife about it. We had a 2-year-old son then to think about. So I spoke to her. My wife being a banker, she advised me that I should first finish off all my debts, my mortgages of the house and the cars that were running. She asked me to pay them off. So we paid whatever life savings that we had. We paid back those mortgages. And after a month that I started, I was zero debt, but I was also zero balance. I started with this friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine. He was also with me in the earlier firm. We started together in his house in a room which was originally meant to be a garage. That was April 2013. Today, we have overgrown 3 offices, and we aim to grow exponentially with COVID or without. Along the way, the meaning of success has also changed. In addition to what success brings in, it's also about doing something which can have societal impacts. Like we petitioned the government to roll back that COVID rule of sending asymptomatic patients to isolation centers. I'm arguing a public interest litigation which has resulted in COVID testing in Bihar from increasing from 6,500 a day to almost 1.5 lakhs. So success means much more now. God has been very kind. My luck has been with me so far. But I think I've been able to do what I could do was because I ventured out, I took my risks. Following a template is good, but charting your own path and having fun along the way is even better. Believing in yourself and remembering, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Thank you.